Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to another session of Zen Talks for Parents. We are delighted to have all of you with us today. Before we begin, if you can hear me clearly, please drop a quick thumbs up in the chat. At Centa, we strongly believe that when parents are empowered with the right understanding, guidance, and tools, children don't just perform better academically, they truly thrive in every aspect of life. Many of you may already know that Center has launched Center for Parents Portal, a dedicated online space created exclusively for parents. The portal gives parents access to expert resources and articles, online tutoring, and most importantly, a supportive community where parents can learn from one another by sharing experiences and insights. This webinar series is an extension of that vision. Our effort to walk alongside parents through every stage of their child's learning and development journey. So, on behalf of Center for Parents, I once again welcome all of you to today's insightful session in our ongoing Center Talks for Parents series. So, before we get started, just a few quick housekeeping notes. We'd like to keep today's sessions as interactive and engaging as possible. So, please feel free to keep the live chat active throughout the webinar. Share your thoughts, reactions, reflections, and questions anytime during the session. We also be conducting a few live polls during the webinar, so do participate actively. Your responses help us make the discussion more relevant and tailored to your needs as parents. And finally, we encourage you to stay with us till the very end. Now, without further delay, let's begin today's session. Today's webinar is centered around a question that many parents often reflect on. Beyond report cards and grades, what does real success actually look like for our children in today's world? For years, we have been conditioned to associate an A with success and a C with concern. But in a rapidly changing world where AI can clear complex exams and information is instantly accessible, these grades alone may not fully reflect whether our children are truly prepared for the future. In today's sessions, Beyond Marks, Measuring Real Learning in the 21st Century, we will explore how success is increasingly defined by skills like problem solving, adaptability, creativity, and communication, rather than memorization alone. We'll also look at the four C's of the future readiness: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication, and understand how they can be nurtured in everyday life. And most importantly, we'll discuss how we can shift our conversations at home from focusing only on marks to focusing on learning, effort, and growth. To lead us through today's sessions, it's my pleasure to welcome our facilitator, Juno Thakur. With over 15 years of rich experience in education and academic leadership, Juno Thakur is currently serving as Vice Principal at City Montessori School, Gomti Nagar, Lucknow. A passionate educator, mentor, and instructional leader, she has consistently contributed toward creating meaningful, learner centric, and future ready educational practices through curriculum innovation, teacher empowerment, and experiential learning initiatives. Recognized nationally for excellence in teaching and leadership, she has earned several prestigious accolades, including being a national finalist at the Tata Class Edge Classroom Championship and securing rank 1 in the school leader category at the Center International TPO. She has also been recognized among the top 10 teachers in India as a Center influencer and ranked among the top 10 international rank holders at at the Center International TPO. An active contributor to professional learning communities, she has conducted impactful webinars and sessions on themes such as storytelling in education, collaborative learning cultures, and the importance of professional learning communities. She was also invited as a keynote speaker at the Global Teachers Meet organized by CENTA in 2024. Her areas of interest include experiential and competency based learning, instructional leadership, environmental awareness, student engagement, and teacher professional development. We are truly grateful to have her with us today to take us through this important conversation. Juno ma'am, we are delighted to have you with us. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Gayatri, for that warm welcome. And it's always a pleasure to be on the Center platform. And I've always been a keen, learner, and a very active part in the community as well. So, having addressed our teachers, I now have the privilege of speaking with our parents. And this is the first time that I'll be addressing the parents. In fact, teachers and parents share more in common that we often realize. Our teachers are parents in many ways, and our parents are teachers too. So, together, they form the strongest support system in the child's learning journey. So to begin the session, I would like to, start with the quote by Albert Einstein. Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. I repeat, education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. This is, I believe, is extremely relevant in today's world, especially for our parents. I myself being a parent too. For many years, education was often, associated with memorizing textbooks, answers, reproducing information in exams. It was just what we learned and we reproduced in our exam papers and scoring high marks. But the quote by Einstein reminds us, as a parent, as a teacher, that the true purpose of education is much, much deeper. Education is not simply about filling a child's mind with facts. It's about developing the child's ability to, think independently. I believe all of my parents sitting here and being a part of this webinar agree with it. And it's something that I, as a parent, also agree, and as a teacher too. So it's all about developing the child's ability to think independently, ask questions, analyze situations, solve problems, make decisions, and apply knowledge meaningfully. Today, facts are available everywhere. Now we can see as teachers, as parents, as human beings, we have facts everywhere, which is available everywhere at just a, at the tip of our finger, or just a, at just a click of a button on Google, through AI, in videos, and on smartphones. And our children are much, much smarter than us. Children no longer need to memorize everything because information is accessible instantly at just a click of the button or everything. We all know that. What truly matters now is, the question is, can a child think critically and use knowledge wisely? That's the biggest question in our parents' minds nowadays, and as a teachers also. For example, I'll just give an example. A child may memorize scientific definitions perfectly. It's very perfect at all the scientific definitions. The child is able to memorize and cram it. But real education is reflective when the child can connect concepts to real life situations, ask why and how, experiment, and think creatively to solve these problems. Similarly, if I give you an example of a real life, employers look for problem solvers. Society where we are living needs innovators. And relationships require emotional understanding and communication. So these abilities come from the training, the mind to think, not merely memorize. So this quote is also an important reminder for all the parents across the world that sometimes in the pressure of marks and competition, we unintentionally focus only on correct answers, high percentages, and ranks. But true learning happens when children are encouraged to explore, question, make mistakes. Let them make mistakes, because mistakes should be the stepping stone. And it's very natural to make mistakes. Always tell your child, fine, you made a mistake and we are learning from our mistakes. It should always be a stepping stone. Discuss ideas and think independently. As parents, we can nurture this by, and the biggest question is, how can we nurture this as parents? Ask by asking, reflective questions, allowing discussions, encouraging curiosity, and let the curious minds be there. If they're asking questions, there's no harm in that. Let them ask questions. Never, demoralize or discourage them when they ask questions. Always be ready to answer, and appreciating the effort and thinking, not just about marks. Because ultimately, I believe as a teacher, as a parent, a child who only memorizes may perform well in exams, fine. But a child who learns to think will perform well in life. So we have to make lifelong learners as parents. So this quote beautifully captures the essence of the 21st century education, the theme on which my webinar is all about today. So the goal is not to create children who only know answers, but children who know how to think, adapt, and grow. Let us be a part of the growing journey. Let us be a part of their learning journey, and let us learn together with them. So I'll just change the slide now to the next slide. So here I have beyond marks measuring real learning in the 21st century. So, as parents, we all dream of seeing our children successful, happy, and confident. For many years, marks and grades have been considered the biggest indicators of success. A good report card makes us feel reassured, while low marks often create concern and anxiety. But today, the world is changing rapidly. We are living in a time where artificial intelligence can solve problems instantly, answer questions within seconds, and even perform tasks that earlier only humans could do. So today we need to ask ourselves, are marks alone enough to prepare children for the future? So, we're asking ourselves, are marks alone enough to prepare children for the future? So, this session is not about ignoring academics. Marks are important. I believe in that. Discipline and hard work are important. But true success today requires much more. We have to build in confidence, communication, creativity, adaptability, emotional intelligence, and problem solving skills in our children. Today, together, let us explore how we can help children grow not only as good students but as capable human beings. So, can I have the poll question just now? I think the poll question is there. What is usually your first concern after your child's exam? And all my dear parents, I need your support here to be active on the chat. And the first poll question is here, right there. What is usually your first concern after your child's exam? The first concern, and you have to be really true about the answer. What is the first thing that comes to your mind? The options are marks scored, rank, class or position, understanding of concepts, child's confidence and effort. These are the options. Maybe have answers on the chat box or on the YouTube chat. Okay, I can see Ushrani is there answering like yes. She's saying, how have you performed? And then marks, okay, someone is saying marks. Udit sir, Udit Gupta is saying it's option number 4, that is child's confidence and effort, right? Option 3, one of them is saying option 3, that is understanding of concepts, okay? So I think I can see 67 till now, 67% of you all are saying the child's confidence and effort. Okay, Tanya, thank you for that poll answer. It's option number 4, child's confidence and effort. So what is usually your first concern? I really believe that these are the parents of the 21st century. So the option that you all gave is a child's confident effort. You want the child to be confident and the effort made by the child in that exam. Definitely, I agree with you all. Moving to the next slide. The world has changed from memorization to meaningful skills. So, what do we usually ask after exams? Let us begin with a small reflection. As parents, I ask you all to think honestly for a moment. Take your time, think honestly for a moment, and just think about that time when your child comes home after an exam. What is usually the first question we ask very often? It is, how many marks did you get? What rank did you get? Did you score more than others? So I want you all to be very active in the chat. So, what is the first thing when a child comes after an exam? What is the first question that you all ask as parents, as mother or as a father? Anything. How many marks did you get? What rank did you get? Did you score more than others? Anything else? How did you write? This is not, someone is asking, I'm not able to see the poll link. This is not a poll question, it's just a reflection question that I've put forward here on the live stream. So I just want to think of the time when your child comes home after an exam and just honestly think for a moment. And what's the first thing that comes to your mind when the child comes home? What rank did you, how many marks did you get? Did you score? How did your paper go? What is the first question? How did you do? Okay. Then Usharani is saying, how many marks did you get? Fine. Then I have someone is saying, how did you write? Okay. Right. So these are the questions. I truly agree with you all. So this is the first thing when your child comes back home, and the first thing, how did your paper go? Did you complete your paper? Did you write well? So these, as a concern, as a parent, we definitely ask such questions. So, these questions are actually, they come from love and concern. As a mother, I'm saying, and parents naturally want children to do well. Obviously, there's no parent on earth who would never want the child to perform well. Every parent wants his or her child to perform well in exams. But slowly children begin believing, when we keep asking such questions, how did the paper go, what marks will you get? And sometimes I've seen at homes also, when the children come back with the question paper, they're asked to solve the whole paper, and then they just guesswork. Okay, in this I made such mistakes, so you might get 3 out of 4. So roughly they calculate the marks, and roughly the parent has judged, okay, my child is about to get maybe 80%, 85%. So that mindset is already there, and the child somehow feels, okay, it's all about marks that I have to show, and it's only marks. Because sometimes when you show the papers in the classes also, children, they come even for half a marks, even for 1 mark sometimes, and you need to explain them that here the marks will not be increased because this is what you had to write, and this is what you had written in the answer sheets. So as a teacher, we have faced such things also. So, and when these things keep on happening, because the mindset has been developed in such a way, the child only knows that I have to get 90%. I have to get. But, what happens when these things happen? Slowly the children begin believing my worth depends on my marks. That thing is there in the child's mind, and my worth only depends on my marks, which I get in the exam that I give or the test that I give. And this creates pressure in the child's mind. Instead, imagine asking, if we just twist a bit and we just turn, little bit, and we just change the way we ask questions. Instead of asking, how did the paper go? Did you complete the paper? Or did you attempt all the questions? Did you do any extra questions? How much do you think you'll score? And everything. I think the questions may be changed by asking, what did you learn? What was difficult? What did you enjoy the most while writing the answer? Which part of the question really enjoyed and you were so confident? What new thing did you understand today? So, when we change our criteria of asking questions, the child will not feel that my worth is only on my marks. Yes, my parent is asking me, or my sister or my friend. So, what did I learn while doing that exam? What was the difficult part where I need to work more? What I did enjoy the most while writing the paper? And sometimes it happens, you can very well, go down the memory lane and just imagine when you yourself were giving the exams and said, okay, this is the question where I gave the best answer. This was the essay which I wrote. I just gave my best while writing that essay or that composition and everything. So these questions, when we shift the focus from performance to learning, this is what I want to tell you through this. We want to shift the focus from performance to learning. Children then begin seeing education not as fear. Let them not have that fear of learning. Let them enjoy learning. Let them grow while learning. And let them look at learning as a growth. So when they begin seeing education not as fear, but as growth. So we all have to be a part of the journey of their growth. I hope every one of you all that, agree with me. Going to the next slide here. So I think there's a poll question here, Gayatri. And could we have the poll question? I can see the poll question here. Which sentence do children hear more often? How many marks did you get? What did you learn today? Can we have the poll question? Can we have the answers on the chat? Which sentence do children hear more often? How many marks did you get? What did you learn today? Be very honest while you're giving the answers on the chat box. And I really liked with there's some Madhumita there who's saying, but such a question of parents, they pour anxiety in children rather than parents should try to be more, talking about some other thing rather than the child's performance in the exams. I very well agree with you, Madhumita. And she has an opinion also. Anything related to the child's performance in school should be avoided and let the child relate his or her experience on their own. Very well said. Okay. So I think Neeti is saying, what did you learn? Thank you. Then someone is saying, I have more answers here. Not able to see the poll questions. Gayatri, is there any problem? I think there I can see someone is putting on the chat box. They're not able to see the poll questions. I can see them. Is it that everyone is not able to see the poll question here? Okay, 93% of them, the majority of the answer says, people say, how many marks did you get? Definitely. And this is what we need to change. Moving to the next slide. So, just a question here, are you able to see my next slide here? Right. Okay. So when you say from memorization to meaningful skills that I just discussed with you all, so the world our children are entering is very different from the world we grew up in. I think you all as parents agree. It was very different at our times, and now that the world our children are entering is very, very different from the world we grew up in. Earlier, education focused heavily on, as I said, memorizing information, repeating textbook answers, and scoring well in examinations. But today, information is available everywhere. A child can search answers online instantly. All our children are tech savvy. They know more than us. So now the important question is not, can the child memorize? The important question is, can the child think, apply, and solve problems? I repeat, our question will change from can the child memorize to can the child think, apply, and solve problems. So today's world values, innovation, communication. Is your child able to communicate confidently? Put forth the questions, put forth their queries, ask, and you know, and then they're asking for the problems, and they're not for the problems inside. They're finding solutions to the problems, teamwork, collaborating, adapting to the changes, and creativity. You know, every child, like we see, our five fingers are not just the same. So every child has their own potential. They may be good in something, they may be not good at this thing. Every child has his or own caliber. So the creativity, we should, let them come out and explore their own creativity. Sometimes when the child is under pressure, he himself or she herself is not able to understand what my hidden talent is. So we need to make the child free from all kind of pressure, and let the child look into, reflect in his own talent. So because the future belongs to children who can think independently. We want all our children to be independent thinkers. solve problems that are unfamiliar. It's not the regular problems. That is why we see that when you're teaching them, we have to relate everything to the real life situations. They should be able to connect everything they learn inside the classroom with the real life situations. Let them connect both the things. That is why education today must move from memorization to meaningful understanding. So, as you all can see on the slide here, it shows about AI and the future. You all agree the impact of AI and how randomly the impact of AI is increasing day by day, right? And everything that comes has their own pros and cons, the disadvantages and the advantages. So whenever there's a change, we have to look into the positive aspect of that rather than discouraging it. So when you talk about the AI and the future, so when I talk about the AI, we're talking about the artificial intelligence, and you all are seeing that the the percentage with it is increasing, and the way the teachers are using it, the students are using it. But we have to train our children and tell our children the correct usage of it, right? Anything overuse is always bad. We need to create that balance. So artificial intelligence is rapidly changing the world around us, we know. And AI can already answer questions. AI is already there to answer all the questions. The AI is there to write the content. AI is there to solve the equations also. The AI is there to analyze data and perform repetitive tasks faster than humans. After the repetitive tasks, we humans become tired, but AI is always there to repeat the task faster than humans. So the question here is, what human qualities will always remain valuable? So with the AI in the future, it's not that a child will be dependent on everything. There are some qualities, human qualities, which will always remain valuable. It will be as a treasure for us. And what's that? The future will belong to individuals who possess, we're talking about our children, empathy. These are the qualities. Compassion, creativity, as I said, leadership qualities, ethical thinking, and collaboration skills. This is something that AI will not be able to teach. It will we as parents, as teachers, will be able to teach our children. Machines, as I say, may process information faster. You all agree with me, right? Machines may process information faster, but they cannot replace human connection, the human bond that we have. The bond that we share with our children as parents, the bond that we share with our children as teachers, the emotional understanding, right? Imagination and moral judgment. That is why parents today must focus not only on academic achievement but also on, it's a very pertinent question here and a very important question here, that as parents we must focus not only on academic achievement but also on these things: emotional intelligence, I repeat, the communication skills, resilience, perseverance, and creativity. Let's not discourage our children when they want to explore, when they want to ask questions. We should always be with them when they want to actually explore, and when they ask questions their minds open, and we should never discourage them. So these are the qualities that make children future ready. Moving to the next slide. The marks myth, which is there. What marks really measure? Now, this is something, what marks really measure. Marks definitely have importance, definitely. I am not, truly saying that marks are not important. They are, right? They will be important. But we need to understand that marks definitely have importance, but marks should also be a reflection of the efforts that the child has made, the preparation that has gone through while preparing for the exams, the consistency that the child has maintained while preparing for the exams, and the performance. So marks should not be the only indicator, but it should be one of the indicators. So I definitely say that marks have importance, but we should also count on the effort, the preparation, consistency, and exam performance. But marks only measure certain abilities, as we say. They mostly measure memory. How much was the child able to memorize? Maybe that sometimes it happens. The child may study overnight, and the child is able to perform well. So it was just that child prepared overnight and was able to produce the answers and got full marks in that test. Fine, but that learning is only temporary. It's not lifelong learning. He must have learned that only overnight, and then he has just performed the answer, just produced the answer on the paper. But but they and marks also, other abilities, like they mostly measure memory, the writing speed. Is a child able to finish the answers, all the questions in 3 hours or 2 hours, the stipulated time that we have for the exam? And the performance under exam conditions. What were the exam conditions, the environmental conditions? Was it favorable, was it unfavorable? Sometimes the child may not be well, sometimes the child may have had some problem at home. The child is, maybe something is going on the child's mind, maybe he did not have a good day last night, or some problem, and maybe he had a fight with a friend. They are, you know different kind of conditions the child may have gone through. So we as humans, as parents, need to understand. It's not just the child has learned, prepared, and just gone and given the exam. There are many things the child goes through. Maybe the child is not feeling well, physically, psychologically. So a lot of things are there. Sometimes the child has prepared, but maybe the child was not able to complete all the answers in that stipulated time. Maybe there was a pain in the hand, or maybe the child was stressed, was not able to complete the answers. Sometimes happens, ma'am, just 2 minutes, ma'am, 3 minutes. We just need to finish the answers. So all these things are there. So, what marks usually do not measure is the confidence, the creativity, curiosity, leadership, communication, kindness, resilience, and emotional strength. Dear parents, you must be seeing, like when I'm taking it, I am repeating some of the words there. And these are such key words that really has importance in today's learning. These are the words that we always have to, go through: the creativity, the confidence level of the child, the kindness, the communication, the resilience, perseverance, emotional strength. So that is why we must say that it's very important. A report card gives information. When the child gets a report card at home, you go through the report card, you see the marks, okay, in history, the chemistry marks as such, the maths marks as such, English marks as such. So it gives information about the academic performance for that point of time, but it does not reveal the complete potential of a child. I mean, you can just reflect on this question. Does it actually reflect the complete potential of a child? No. I don't believe in that, because maybe sometimes what happens, the child has really performed well in the half yearly exams, but sometimes what happens, the child may not have performed so well in the final exams because due to some other condition, the child may not be well. Sometimes the child show maximum improvement in the tests. They show a lot of improvements, but in exams also they have done wonders. But maybe in the next exam they may not have done it. Maybe the child is going through some other problem. So we need to understand, as parents, the child is going through a lot of, you know, lot of questions are going in the child's mind. We need to put ourselves into the child's shoes and think as a child at that time. And I must say, many successful people were not school toppers. And many toppers later struggled with confidence, decision making, teamwork, or adaptable. And this is a fact. So, as parents, we must remember marks are indicators. They're indicating, they're not definitions. They do not define your child. They're just indicators. They're indicating for that particular performance. They do not define your child completely. A child is always bigger. Your child is obviously will be bigger than a report card. So, just moving to the next slide now. I think after this one we have a poll question. Which quality do you think is most important for your child's future? Academic excellence, communication skills, creativity and innovation, emotional resilience. Can we have the chat? I mean, you all are free, these are just options. You may give your own answers also, dear parents. because, okay, 100% of them are saying emotion resilience. I can see it on the screen here. 100% of you are saying emotion resilience. And now I think, because the poll it keeps changing. 75% was saying, 25% are saying creativity and innovation. So which quality do you think is most important for your child's future, right? So most of you are saying emotional resilience, definitely. Some are saying communication. Some are saying both option 3 and 4, that is creativity and innovation and emotion. See, the questions which are put up here on the poll, there are no right or wrong answers. It's just a reflection of what we think. So do not worry about being right or wrong. It's just your perspective or your own idea that you're putting forward, your thinking that you're putting forward. That there's no right or wrong. Nobody's judging you here, and neither I'm judging myself here. Most of you are saying emotional resilience. Naturally, we need to make our children emotionally confident also. Emotional intelligence is something which is the need of the hour, and we all, as teachers, as parents, have to work for it. So, moving on to the next slide. And moving to the next slide, that is, it says rote learning versus real learning. We always believe in real learning. No one is believing in rote learning. Our times were different because the time when we grew up was very different, and the time our children are into is very different. So we need to understand that the time they are born into, they're exposed to a different world, and as I said, information, facts are available everywhere. But as parents, we need to make them, lifelong learners. So let us understand the difference between rote and real learning. If we talk about rote learning, it mainly focuses on, you're just memorizing the answers, you're memorizing the facts and history, the dates, and maybe in chemistry, maybe have the equations, or in maths, the formulas. No, it should not be that. Just reproducing the textbook information, what we have, and studying only for exams. So the child should not have that in mind, that the child is studying and the child is only studying for the exam. That notion should not be there in a child's mind. We as parents need to understand you are going to a school, you are gaining knowledge, right? You are there, but your purpose going to school is not just that you want to gain just knowledge or just you want to give an exam. Why we are sending you to school? We're sending you to school to become learners, to learn throughout, to learn concepts, to understand, to connect your learning with the real life learning here, the real life situations. You're not just studying for the exams, you're studying to become independent learners, independent thinkers. So when you're talking about real learning, that we should always focus on, it's let us understand the concepts. As teachers also, when we are taking classes now, we keep telling our teachers the concept should be understood by the child, right? First, the concept should be clear to the child. So here also, as parents, we need to understand, is my child able to understand the concepts? Is he going to school? Is he only doing the rote learning, or is he actually understanding the concepts? Is he asking questions in the class? Is he applying those ideas? Is he solving problems? So, real learning focuses on such things, understanding concepts, asking questions. The more you ask questions, the more you start thinking critically, the more you explore on that problem, and helping each other. Let them explore the problem, come to a solution. Let them ask questions to each other. And I must say, children learn a lot from their peers also, and they learn a lot when they help each other also, when they collaborate with each other. It's not, that time is not there that you're competing or you're having a competition. I should not be sharing my views or my plans with anybody. No, when you collaborate more, you learn more. For example, I'll just give you a very simple example here. A child, as I said, as a science definition, as I told you in the beginning, perfectly. But the child does not know whatever the child has learned as a definition in science. He's learned it. He's able to, reproduce an answer on the paper. He's got full marks, 2 out of 2 on the definition. But is that child able to apply it practically? Has he learned that to apply practically? No, he has not. So real learning he needs only happens the child is able to think, as I said, to explore, discuss, experiment, and even make mistakes. So I said making mistakes should be a part of the journey or the learning journey. In fact, it's fine. We should always tell our children, fine, you made a mistake, I'm happy. It's okay, it's a learning journey. So, education should not only prepare children to pass exams, it should prepare them to think independently, solve the real life problems, and become lifelong learners. Moving on to the next slide here. Right. The 4 C's of future success. You all have heard as parents, or maybe your child must be, reiterating it at home also. Critical thinking, creativity. You must have heard the teachers saying all about it. Collaboration, communication. Right now in the webinar also I've used all these terms so often. So when you're talking about the 4 C's of the future success, we have to keep that in mind. The 4 C's of the future success of a child. So when you're talking about across the world, educators now emphasize on these 4 essential future skills. And these 4 C's are the essential and important future skills: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication. Your child should be able to communicate his or her problems. You should be able to ask questions. Sorry. Because these skills are becoming more important than simply memorizing information. For example, imagine your child sitting in the class. There is a new concept taught in the class, a maths concept, a science concept. The child has not understood, and the child is not confident enough to ask also. When he reaches home, he's very dull. He is not able to ask. He's feeling shy. That should I be asking my teacher about, or should I ask my parents? So that confidence should be developed in a child. A child should be made, think. There's no harm in asking questions. There may be children in the class may laugh at you once because you ask a question, they laugh at you once. But you never ask a question, they'll always laugh at you. This is what I heard when I grew. So there's no harm in asking questions. Fine. You're not making a fool out of yourself when you're asking a question. Because these skills are becoming more important than simply memorizing information. Children who develop these abilities become confident, innovative, and emotionally strong. We have to build that confidence in a child. Go, ask questions. Nobody will say no to you. Should not feel shy. Ask questions. Have your peers involved in it. The more interactive the children become inside the class, the more happier they are when they return home. And the good news is parents can nurture these skills every day at home. It's not only in the school, in the within the the walls of the class that teacher will only do it. But as parents also we can do this. Help our child to nurture these skills every day at home through simple conversations and activities at home also. Right? And let us now understand. I'll be taking it one by one. How can we as parents nurture these skills every day? But we must be thinking all these 4 C's: creativity, collaboration. They are big terms which can only be taught in school. No, even at home we can teach them through our daily conversations, by helping the child being a part of the daily shows at home, the work that by taking the child's help, by making the child contribute in any kind of decision, by making the child a part of any decision that is being taken at home, any plan, or maybe a small plan for dinner at night. Let the child think, let the child decide the place, right? So he'll also feel that I'm a part of the conversation, I'm a part of the planning. So, moving to the next slide. Okay. The first strategy. The first strategy is critical thinking. Now, when we go to the critical thinking, when you go to critical thinking, how will critical thinking help, and how can we as parents help in developing this skill here in our child? Critical thinking, when it says, it means analyzing the situation. When the child is understanding the situation, and the child can only understand the situation the child is made a part of that, right? I've changed the slide. I hope you all are able to see this changed slide. Yes. asking questions, evaluating the information. Any information the child has got from somewhere and the child is sharing, let's not discourage. And even if the child is talking about anything that he has heard, so first listen to the child. We need to be very patient, listeners also. Sometimes it happens we are busy with our own work, we are tied up with our own work. Sometimes we do not pay heed to what the child is saying. Maybe the child has come up with some question, maybe the child wants to share something. Always, let the child feel accepted. That yes, somebody is there to listen to me. And that discouragement, or we should not. The gesture of a parent should be in such a way that the child is heard and making thoughtful decision. As I said, let the child be a part of any decision taken at home. Today, children, are surrounded by a lot of information, enormous information online. They know, even if they have to ask, they can go online and they can find an answer. But rather, let them be a part of the discussion. Let them ask questions. Let them not think, okay, nobody is listening to me and I can find the answer online. Therefore, they must learn not just what to think, but they must learn how to think also. And parents can encourage critical thinking by allowing discussions, as I said, listening patiently. We have to be patient listeners and asking open ended questions even at home. I'll just give you a very simple example. Instead of saying, okay, this is the answer, okay, just just putting your decision on the child, just let the child, think, let the child feel. You can ask the child, what do you think, child? And if a child is asking something, why do you feel so? What do you think that making you ask this? Or the child has come up, you are giving a solution, there's a discussion at home, mother, father, sister, everybody is there. And just ask, can there be another solution? So, when you make a child a part of the discussion, the child will really feel, okay, I am welcome, I'm there. So, when children are encouraged to think independently, and this independent thinking starts at home, not only in school. It's the child is learning, spending so many hours at school, but the child is also spending hours at home. So the child is learning in school, and simultaneously the child is learning at home also. So when children are encouraged to think independently, they become more confident decision makers. We have to make our children decision makers. Let them be a part of any decision making at home also. Planning for a holiday, planning for the trip, or anything during the summer break, anything. Now, moving on, we just finished with critical thinking strategy number one. Moving on to the next slide, creativity. When you talk about creativity, new ideas, innovation, right? If you see, creativity is not limited to, like, most of the parents are of the notion that when you're talking about creativity, we only think of the child should be is very good at art or drawing. No, creativity is not only that. That the child is a good artist or is very good at drawing or something. No, creativity also means generating new ideas, coming up with new ideas, finding out some unique solutions. Sometimes the children do come up with unique solutions. As teachers, when you keep asking questions in the class, sometimes one answer will pop up in the class, and you're not expecting that also, that it should come from a 10-year-old child or a 12-year-old child. But sometimes these answers pop up from them, because when we give them that opportunity, they start thinking beyond the box, out of the box. So, imagining possibilities. So, creativity means, just imagining, is this the probable thing? Is this the possibility? And expressing originality. Let them express their own originality. And even if they're coming, we should always be very accepting and, very happy that yes, I really like your answer and I think it can. So, can you just suggest what else can we do? So, when you keep on asking, they'll keep on coming with ideas. But unfortunately, what happens? Fear of mistakes. They do not come with such possibilities or express the originality, because there's always a fear. Not in all students or not in all children, but most of them, majority of them, that the fear of mistakes is there. Often suppress the creativity. Let not that fear of mistakes be there that is able to suppress the creativity. Because there should not be, you know, that notion should not be in their mind that, okay, if I make a mistake, I'll get a scolding and I will be discouraged. Let them. make errors. I keep on saying, if they make errors, take it very positively and say, fine, you make this is another solution. There is, you come up with that. So many children stop trying new things or happen because they fear judgment. They never like to be judged. And once they are judged, the second time we just cut out their confidence level. So as parents, we must create an environment where children feel safe to explore. And how can we do that? We can definitely do that. We can create an environment where children really feel safe to explore. We can support creativity by any hobbies. Now, this is the summertime. The children are at home. The summer break is going on. Encouraging hobby. Let the child do whatever the child likes. Appreciating the originality. The child comes with a small piece of work or any art, anything the child has done. Appreciate. Okay. When we appreciate, they feel confident. And let them explore, allow them to explore. We should always allow exploration and value the effort the child has. Even a small effort the child has made, the child should be really valued because they look forward to such values and over perfection. Don't think it has to be a perfect task. It has to, if a child is making a small piece of anything, the child, maybe the child likes painting, the child likes gardening, anything, the child has planted something, and the child is, you know, uh, watering the plants. It is also, the child is an activity with nature. The child is taking care. He is learning to take care of plants. So because and then the child is learning skills also. So we should value the effort made by a child, and we should value effort over perfection. So perfection is the last thing. We're not looking into perfection. We're looking into the efforts made by the child. So creative children become innovators. And when we let that creativity be born in our child, they become innovators and problem solvers. So I think we have after, right, the next thing, the collaboration. The future belongs to team players, obviously. Future also is wanting people who collaborate. They work as a team. So when we're talking about collaboration at home, obviously, the future belongs to people who can work well with others. Children today need to learn. They should learn that teamwork is very important. We have to work in a group. And in a group, we have to respect each other's ideas. We have to respect each other's viewpoints. Right? So, empathy, because when they are working in a team, that skill empathy should be there. Listening skills, like we are asked to listen to our children, the children should also be taught to listen to each other, cooperate, and share the responsibility. Do not take everything I, me, myself. That concept should not be there. It's like we work as a team. And when you work as a team, that I should be replaced with we, when the responsibility is shared. Because such skills, collaboration teaches children respect, the value of respect, the skill, respect. We need to respect each other, patience, and understanding. So when we are encouraging such things, the child, is learning how to respect each other. The child is learning the value of patience. The child is learning that understanding, we need to understand each other. At home, collaboration can be encouraged through many ways, through family discussions. Give them responsibility, share responsibility. Let them be a part of the household chores, the household work at home, group games, and involving children in decisions. This is what I've learned as a parent also. When a child is a part of decision making at home, the child always, values. The child always feels that I am wanted here, and the child will always be understanding as a child also that yes, what my parents are going through, what my parents need from me, and everything. Let them be a part of it. We should not hide anything from our children, because sometimes the best of the solutions come from our children also. So when children learn to work together respectfully, they become emotionally mature individuals. And become emotionally mature individuals is something that is the need of the hour. We have to make our children emotionally confident. We have to make our children emotionally mature. Let them mature emotionally also. Now, moving to the next slide, we're talking about communication, the new superpower. This is a skill which is very important. You need to communicate. Communication is one of the most important life skills today, be it at home, be it in school, anywhere. The child may possess excellent knowledge, and we have seen so many times the child has excellent knowledge, but opportunities will only increase only when children can express themselves confidently. When a child is not able to express herself or himself confidently, so that knowledge, that enormous knowledge or that excellent knowledge that child possesses is of no use, because he's not able to communicate that knowledge which is there within. So communication includes speaking clearly. You're able to explain your point. You're able to put forth your point. And communication is not only speaking, but listening also. Listening carefully, writing effectively. First is speaking, then listening carefully, writing effectively, and expressing your thoughts respectfully. If you're not able to express the thoughts, then the knowledge is of no use. So parents can support communication by talking regularly with children over the dinner table, over dinner and after dinner, taking them for a walk. And this is the time, the summer break is the best time when you have time with your children to communicate. Encourage storytelling. Let them be a part of storytelling. Let them narrate story. Let them narrate some anecdotes from the school, from their class. And you also can, as parents, narrate your anecdotes and your story from your childhood. And let them, enjoy. Let them be a part of it. Asking reflective questions, and building reading habits. Let the child read out to you. Let you read out to the children. That's a really good skill, and it doesn't take 2 hours or 3 hours. It's just 10 minutes of that or 15 minutes, even a page, or in the morning the child is sitting with his father or mother and reading out the news articles, the headings, and this is the best time. I think the summer break is the best when your child is with you. Otherwise, when the schools reopen, we always are busy. We have to rush to school, you have to rush to office, and this is the time when the child is there. Sundays, the weekends. Children who feel heard at home usually communicate more confidently outside, and this is a fact. If the child is heard at home, he will communicate more confidently outside, and that is a fact. Moving on to the next slide. Redefining failure. Failure should not be taken as failure, but we are redefining failure. How? One of the biggest, challenges children face today is the fear to failure, the fear to make mistakes. Many children believe if I fail, I'm not good enough. No, that should not be there. Because this fear creates anxiety, low confidence, reduced learning, and fear of taking risk. Then the child will never take risks. And I must say, there's something. Suppose if a child has failed in something, that should not be equal to I am a failure. If I have failed at a task, that does not mean that I am a failure. I've just failed at a task. Fine, this is a stepping stone to something, to learn something new. That should never be equal to saying that I am a failure. That does not define you as a failure. And if this develops low confidence, the child will never take the risk, because there is risk in everything. The child should not have the notion that you have to be successful or you have to fail. The child should be taught to take risk. When the child will take risk, the child will learn. And learning not only happens when you're successful, the best learning happens when you fail also. When you fail at a task, fine. But failure is not the opposite of success. You must just make the thing very clear. Failure is not the opposite of success. Okay? It's not the antonym of success. Failure is a part of growth. Every successful person has faced mistakes and setbacks. And when you face mistakes and setbacks, it will help you in making more successful. This mistake should be taken as a normal thing. It's normal to make mistakes. I can make mistakes. You make mistakes. We all make mistakes. That should be the discussion at home. Improvement takes time, and learning happens through struggle. Right? Somebody is saying at the chat that I can see you all are very active. Failure might act as a setback. It acts, but we have to, tell our children that it is not a setback. We are learning through it. It's a learning step for you, and you may, because when you not make mistakes, how will we learn? Okay, this is what I did, and this how it had to be done.
It's
So
18 hours.
as parents, we must help children see failure as feedback. So, as parents, we need to make sure that we must help children see failures as feedback, not the final judgment. That is not the final judgment. Moving on to the next slide. The silent pressure, which is always called the avoid comparison. We should avoid comparison. Now, comparison is one of the biggest silent pressures children experience. Every child learns differently. As I told you, these five fingers are not the same. So every child has his own potential. He or she learns differently. The speed of learning is different. The speed of understanding is different. The speed of writing may be different, because all children are not the same. They grow differently and succeed differently. The child may be good at one child may be good at this, the other child may be good at that. At home also, when we have siblings, we cannot compare two children together. Though they are from the same family, but they have their own, potential. Some children excel academically, some are artistic, some are athletic, some are natural leaders, and some are emotionally intelligent. So we have to, as parents, understand whether my child excels academically, or some are artistic, athletic, natural leaders, emotionally intelligent. So when children are constantly compared, they begin feeling, I'm not enough. Instead of comparison, children need encouragement from parents, from teachers, acceptance, and belief in their uniqueness. We have to find that uniqueness in the child, because if you find that uniqueness, the child will be able to reflect on his or her uniqueness and work on it. And we have to help the child grow and prosper. Our goal should not uh, be to make children identical to others. No, they cannot. They are not. They are not seeing the mirror image of themselves in others. So they should not be, made to feel that the children make feel that identical. They should not be identical to each other. What our goal as parents should be helping each child become the best version of themselves. Whatever caliber or whatever potential you have seen in your child, help the child thrive through that and become the best version of themselves. Coming to the next slide. So, at the end of the day, children remember how we made them feel, how we supported them, and whether they felt accepted. And this is a fact. The children also feel what our parents, the way the parents are talking to us, the way our teachers are talking to us. So at the end of the day, the child will also remember how you made them feel, how you supported them, how you made them feel, whether felt were they made to feel accepted or not. Children need at all age, be a toddler or a 10-year-old child or a teenage child or a child who is more above 18. A child is always a child for a parent. So a child need encouragement, emotional safety, that emotional confidence and safety should be there. Patience, the trust, when you show that trust in them, and they will never let you down. Understanding, simple things make, and these are just simple things what I talked about right now in our daily conversations at home. Simple things make a huge difference. Praising the effort, celebrating progress, listening without making a judgment, and allowing constructive struggle. Constructive struggle should be there. Children grow strongest in environments where they feel valued, not constantly evaluated. They should not be evaluated, they should be valued. And now moving to my last slide, which is there, the reflection time. Before we conclude, let us reflect on one final question. 20 years from now, what will matter more? One report card, one percentage, one rank, or the confidence your child developed, the kindness they showed, the resilience they built, and the meaningful life they created. I repeat, I just want you all to reflect on this. 20 years from now, what will matter more for you as parents? One report card, one percentage, one rank, or the confidence your child has developed throughout, the kindness they showed, the resilience they built, and the meaningful life they created? Can we have the answers? You all are free to uh, give the answers. Resilience. Sonam is saying resilience, and we have on Benazir is saying the career they adopt, and the career also when they adopt is something of what they have learned throughout, and the career path should also be of their choice. So marks do matter, but character, capability, and contribution matter even more. So let us work together to raise children who think deeply, communicate confidently, adapt courageously, and grow into compassionate human beings. And this can only be possible when we all are working together to raise our children. And I really thank everyone for being a part of this meaningful discussion today. And I have one closing question. Gayatri, can I have this closing question or reflection here? If your child's report card disappeared tomorrow, what evidence would convince you that your child is truly learning and growing? I just, repeat this question. If your child's report card disappeared tomorrow, what evidence would convince you that your child is truly learning and growing? And this question usually generates meaningful discussion and perfectly reinforces the webinar theme. Beyond marks, measuring real learning in the 21st century. The report card is just a piece of paper. And suppose it happens to disappear tomorrow. So, what evidence is that would convince you that your child is truly learning and growing? Is that the report card? Because someone is saying resilience, a happy and confident child, full of empathy, resilience, sympathy, the way he or she will deal with situations around him, perfectly said by Chitra Parmar here. Confidence and saying by Sangamitri, I can see confidence. We all want our children to be confident learners. So the report card myth should not be there. Marks are not the most important indicator. As I said, how do I know whether my child is learning when? So it should be, you have to look beyond grades and observe whether your child can explain the concepts in their own words, apply learning to real life situations, ask thoughtful questions, solve unfamiliar problems. Instead of asking, I think from today, instead of asking how many marks did you get or how many marks will you be getting, we should be saying like, what was the most interesting thing you learned today in school, in class? Can you teach me this concept? So this is all from my side today. Gayatri, are you there?
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you to the lovely audience. The live chat has been incredibly active. You shared such practical and insightful ways to help parents shift their conversations at home, and I'm sure everyone here is taking away a lot to reflect on and implement. Participants, please do show your appreciation for her in the chat. This has truly been a thought provoking and valuable session. A few things before we close. You can fill the feedback form by clicking on the link shared in the chat box or by visiting the respective event page on the Center for Parents portal by the end of the day. Please note that all participants who submit the feedback form will receive their record of participation by end of the day. If you haven't already, we encourage you to explore the Center for Parents portal. This is the go to space for the expert led resources, but more importantly, it is also a vibrant parent community. It's a warm and supportive space where you can share experiences, ask questions, and connect with other parents who are on similar journey. We would love to see you on actively engaging there. And here's something to look forward to. Our next Send Talks for Parents session is on June 12th on the topic Careers in Humanities and Social Science Beyond Myths and the Traditional Pathways. So visit the Center for Parents portal to know more and register for free. And do spread the word. Follow Center on our social channels and stay tuned for more sessions, resources, and conversations designed just for you. To every parent who joined us today, thank you for your time, your presence, and your thoughtful participation. Your willingness to engage deeply with your child's learning journey is what truly makes a difference.